Okay, so you want to own a coffee shop. Picture it. Reclaimed wood counters, the hiss of an espresso machine, a line out the door every single morning, regulars calling out their orders before they even reach the counter. You watch the register ring up sale after sale. $15 here, $20 there, all day long. By 6 p.m., you've done what looks like $800, maybe $1,000 in sales. You go home thinking you're building an empire. Here's where the mental model breaks down. That $1,000 in daily revenue is not profit. It's barely even signal, because a coffee shop isn't really a beverage business. It's a real estate and labor arbitrage business wearing an apron. The espresso is just the excuse to charge rent on a chair for 45 minutes. Read that again. You're not selling coffee. You're selling square footage, one seat at a time, at margins so thin that a single slow Tuesday can erase what you made on a busy Saturday. Most owners never run the real numbers. They see the top line, the crowd, the buzz, and they mistake motion for money. So far, so good, right? The shop looks alive. But underneath that energy sits a cost structure built to quietly bleed you dry, and that's exactly where we're headed next. Let's break this business down properly, because not all coffee shops are playing the same game. Tier 1, the kiosk model. Think drive-through huts or mall carts. Startup cost sits around $40,000 to $80,000. Small footprint, minimal seating, high volume, low overhead. You're basically running a caffeine vending machine with a smile. Tier 2, the regional café. This is the classic corner shop. 600 to 1,500 square feet, seating for 20 to 40 people. CapEx here lands between $150,000 and $350,000 once you factor in lease build-out, equipment, and furniture. This is where most independent owners live, and where most independent owners struggle. Tier 3, the commercial flagship. Bigger footprint, full kitchen, maybe a roastery on-site. You're looking at $400,000 to $700,000 in startup capital. But you also unlock wholesale accounts, catering contracts, and brand licensing. Tier 4, the luxury megastructure. Multi-level flagship stores, private roasting facilities, event space. Starbucks Reserve Roasteries are the benchmark here. Capital investment north of $10 million. Different business entirely. That's not coffee retail anymore. That's tourism and brand theater with a beverage attached. 4 tiers, 4 completely different risk profiles. And almost everyone starting out picks Tier 2 without understanding what Tier 2 actually costs to survive. So let's say you're building the standard Tier 2 cafe. $250,000 total capex. Where does it actually go? Leasehold improvements eat $60,000 to $100,000 alone. Plumbing for sinks, electrical for espresso machines pulling 30 amps, ventilation systems that fire code mandates you install. Equipment runs another $40,000 to $70,000. Espresso machine, grinders, refrigeration, POS system, furniture and fixtures, another $20,000 to $30,000. Now here's what nobody budgets for. Health department permits and food handler certifications. Grease trap installation, sometimes mandatory even if you're not frying anything, because milk residue counts. Fire suppression systems above your equipment line, which alone can run $8,000 to $15,000 installed. Liquor liability insurance if you're serving anything beyond coffee. ADA compliance renovations for bathrooms and entryways that older buildings almost never meet on day one. Then there's the silent killer. Equipment maintenance contracts. A commercial espresso machine needs professional descaling and servicing every 90 days. Skip it, and a $40,000 machine dies in 18 months instead of 10 years. Add it up, and your real opening number isn't $250,000. It's closer to $300,000. That gap right there is where half of first-time owners run out of runway before they even open the doors. Here's where most people get the business model completely backwards. They think the money is in the espresso. It's not. A cup of coffee costs you maybe 50 cents in beans and milk, sells for $5. That's a great margin on paper, but rent, labor, and waste chew through it fast. The real profit engine is the add-on. Syrups, cold foam, extra shots, pastries sourced from a wholesale bakery at $2 and sold for $6. These attachments carry 80% margins or higher because there's almost no additional labor cost to pour a pump of vanilla. Here's the coin flip math. Every transaction is a bet on attachment rate. If one customer buys a $5 latte, you net maybe $2 after direct costs. But if that same customer adds a pastry and an extra shot, your ticket jumps to $11 and your net climbs to almost $7. Same labor, same 5 minutes behind the counter, more than triple the profit. This is why every successful cafe obsesses over one number: average ticket size, not foot traffic. A shop with 50 customers a day at a $12 ticket beats a shop with 100 customers a day at a $5 ticket. Volume feels impressive. Ticket size pays the rent. The counter isn't a coffee bar, It's a margin funnel disguised as customer service. So why do coffee shops fail at such staggering rates? It's rarely the coffee, it's the debt structure underneath it. Most first-time owners finance their capex with high-interest equipment loans or SBA debt stacked on top of a personal guarantee. The math only works if daily sales hit projections immediately. There's no runway for a slow ramp-up. One bad quarter, and loan payments alone can consume 40% of gross revenue. Take the case of Caldi's coffee expansion missteps in the early 2010s, where aggressive multi-location growth outpaced actual demand validation. Locations were opened on optimistic 5-year projections rather than proven foot traffic, and thin margins on individual stores couldn't service the combined debt load across the portfolio. Several locations shuttered within 18 months. Or look at the broader wave of independent café closures tied to 2020 lease obligations. Owners had signed 10-year fixed leases assuming steady growth, locking in rent obligations of $8,000 to $12,000 a month regardless of revenue. When volume dropped, that fixed cost didn't move. The lease became a corpse the business had to keep feeding. The pattern is always the same. It's never one bad decision. It's leverage plus a fixed cost structure plus zero cash reserve, colliding at exactly the wrong moment. Debt doesn't care about your grand opening. It cares about Tuesday's actual sales. So let's talk real numbers. What does ownership actually pay you? Optimistic scenario. A well-run Tier 2 cafe doing $4,000 in daily revenue with disciplined cost control can net a profit margin of 15 to 20% on roughly $1.4 million in annual revenue. That's $200,000 to $280,000 a year in owner profit. That's the dream case. That's the Instagram version. Realistic scenario. Most independent shops land closer to a 5 to 10% net margin. Once you account for slow seasons, staff turnover, equipment repairs, and the inevitable rent increase at renewal. On similar revenue, that's $70,000 to $140,000 a year. And that number has to cover your own salary, not sit on top of it. Here's the part nobody tells you going in. You're not really buying a coffee shop. You're buying a second job with better smells and worse hours, wrapped around a real estate bet that only pays off if you survive long enough to renegotiate your lease from a position of strength. The math gives you a guaranteed top line. Everything below it is a fist fight. Long coffee doesn't make you rich. Discipline does. And the shop is just the arena where that discipline gets tested, one ticket at a time. Coffee shops are just one example of a bigger pattern. From the outside, every business looks simple. A product, a customer, a cash register. But underneath, every industry has hidden economics most people never see. The real question is never just, how much money does this business make? The real question is, where does the money actually come from, and what quietly destroys it? Because the difference between a business that survives and one that disappears is usually hidden in the numbers. If you want to understand the economics behind the world's biggest businesses, stay with us. More hidden business models are coming, because every successful business has a hidden engine. And once you understand that engine, you start seeing the world of money differently. The next business story is waiting.